in terms of adopting a growth strategy. There has to be a methodology now which has to be adopted. So clearly there is a requirement for a national economic recovery plan. And a national economic recovery plan cannot just be made by one ministry or one individual or two individuals. It really has to be a comprehensive plan. So there are a number of verticals which require to be taken care of. Obviously fiscal policy is one, trade policy is another, then industrial policy, then your climate change policy, then your human resource policy, then a lot of other interrelated and intertwined policies which have an impact on each other. They need to be comprehensively looked at. And overall, a plan of action needs to be there. So it's the how part that we really need to now look at. There are a lot of prescriptions that are available. We have to man these verticals with sort of technocratic leadership under the vision of a political leadership. So it has to be embedded into the political leadership. Our energy costs, they have to be sort of looked at. Our power policy, what is it all about? Okay, that needs to be addressed. And that will obviously have an impact on our industrial policy, on our exports, on our local industry. So all these policies are intertwined, interlinked. They have to be converted into a national economic recovery plan. That national economic recovery plan probably has to be approved by the parliament, so there is consistency in that in years to come. We will also have to identify a few quick wins and a few medium-term wins which will be a part of this economic recovery plan. Banks really are the catalysts for any economy to grow. They will provide the necessary capital for the growth of any economy. So I think there are multiple opportunities. One of the major opportunities is the infrastructure financing. And obviously the banks have to be by the side of the government and even the private sector in terms of if there are any public-private partnerships that are there. The banks need to support that in terms of infrastructure investment. You will still need infrastructure support, so special economic zones, your roads, your ports. So I think clearly the banks can play a role on that. So my view is that as soon as you are able to access the global capital markets, you will be able to term out your foreign currency exposure. You will have some breather in terms of the necessary capital expenditures which are required for any export-led economy to first of all stabilize and then finally grow. So I think that really needs to be looked at. And the banks will obviously play a role in terms of supporting that capital expenditure. Consumer financing clearly is a major area which can spur up growth. There has been some growth, but I think there is a large room. The banks are really gearing up to that. So despite the fact that we really don't have any scorecard or trade scorecard, but the banks are relying now on whatever proxy data that they have available in terms of analyzing that and extending credit based on the behavior patterns and based on the real data which may be available. So I think clearly that's an opportunity for the banks to play a role. Private equity, I think, is another area. Our corporates are expanding into various fields, export-led fields, sustainable areas of growth. Then the banks can certainly play a role. If you wear the commercial lens, it's really customer-led growth. It is actually the customers who are forcing the banks to offer them Islamic banking facilities. We were expecting that we're going to face some sort of customer reluctance or some sort of customer attrition in terms of when we converted. But Imagine that 1.5 million customers converted to Islamic banking without any noise. They were willing conversions. So I think that really proves a point that Islamic banking is a demand-led sort of transformation that is happening in the industry. Mortgages and auto financing, even before this entire convergence started, banks were offering them under the Islamic mode of financing because the customers wanted it. And same is the case that if you see large local banks now converting their branches to Islamic because there is a customer demand. And obviously with the customer demand, there is a commercial angle to it. There is a lot of focus, especially by the central bank, in terms of supporting this initiative. Today, Islamic banking pretty much offers almost a complete suite of products as compared to conventional. All the needs of a customer can actually be addressed through the Islamic banking products. But that awareness needs to be increased. Similarly, the latest technology and digital channels are also available with all of the Islamic banks. So reach itself is not a problem. Customer service is not a problem. There has been an issue in terms of the Sukuk issuance. The government has shown its openness and willingness to increase their issuance capacity through various Sukuk structures that banks like us and other banks have proposed to them. So hopefully that issue in terms of the Sukuks and the non-existence, pretty much non-existence of Islamic capital markets, that should reduce significantly. The direction is right. We may or may not be able to meet the timelines, but at least directionally we're right. There are going to be some exceptions, clearly in terms of our global lenders. There may not be some Islamic structures available. But keeping those exceptions aside, I think there is tremendous opportunity for Islamic banking to grow. And consider it from a different perspective as well, the financial inclusion perspective. A lot of people actually have not been opening accounts with the banks because they think it's not the right thing. And all banks are alike and they are not based on Islamic principles. So that when that education and awareness goes to the customers, I think there's a lot of scope in terms of financial inclusion, both on the savings side and I think more than that, even on the financing side as well. The number of transactions are going to increase so much that the bank's systems and the backbone, we need to plan for that. So every bank has a capacity constraint in terms of its backbone. And we have to realize that on a country basis as well, we have that constraint. So I would think that together with the state bank and some of the banks, what we are saying and what we are advocating is that this entire digital strategy for the country needs to be put in place from a financial sector's perspective, which would also include supporting these fintechs through maybe some sort of funding because they're going to help us ultimately. And the second most important part is the backbone. So that alignment part in terms of supporting the digital backbone of the country, that needs to be planned now. Otherwise, the way the digital transactions are increasing, there's going to be so much traffic that then it's going to cause operational issues for the country to handle. So that is, I think, which will be critical for the next 5 or 10 years, that how do we sort of plan on this, some of the basic requirements. And the central bank is playing a major role. So some guidance is there from them. But I think banks need to also rise to this occasion and plan accordingly, that how are they going to sort of manage themselves and the digital infrastructure required by them, and on an overall basis in terms of the industry as well.